Live. Scientists call it a beacon of hope that they want to learn from. Georgina Rana, BBC News in Baku.
And we can speak now to Carol Phua. She is the Coral Reef Rescue Initiative Manager at the World Wildlife Fund Australia. Carol, thanks for joining us. How exciting is this discovery?
It's incredibly exciting, Sumi. I think a lot of us have known that Solomon Islands has a lot of important coral reefs and incredibly biodiverse. And this discovery shows there's a lot to protect still in Solomon Islands. And it's worth really investing in supporting the conservation efforts that are ongoing in the region.
Carol, take a step back and remind us why coral reefs are important.
They're incredibly important for food security and also coastal protection. In the Solomon Islands, people are incredibly dependent on coral reefs. It's their primary source of protein. When we go to the supermarkets, they depend on their reefs for food. And it provides a lot of coastal protection. It's also vulnerable to tsunamis in the Pacific. So having those reef systems there to protect the coastline is incredibly important. Up to 1 billion people are directly dependent on reefs, not only for their food, but coastal protection as well.
This comes at a time where we know climate change has caused severe damage to many reefs. How can this then be protected?
Thanks, Sumi. Even if we achieve the ambitions set by the Paris Agreement, we stand to lose 70 to 90% of our reefs globally. So protecting the 10 to 30% that we know are less exposed to climate change is incredibly critical. Maintaining that ambition, to achieving 1.5 or keeping global temperature warming to 1.5 is incredibly important. What we can do is reduce all the non-climate threats to these reefs in Solomon Islands and other places, managing our waterways better, and looking at how do we do coastal development, is there illegal logging, unsustainable agriculture. These are really important threats that need to be addressed, ensuring that we're not overfishing these reefs. Reef fish are incredibly important to maintain the health of coral reefs. And not overfishing on these reefs is a very important first step towards that as well.
Looking at this being the largest coral ever recorded in this part of the Pacific Ocean, what state is it in? Have you seen damage, or have we seen damage on it as well from climate change?
I haven't personally inspected the reefs, but I've spoken to my colleagues in WWF Solomon Islands, to Shannon, and he's mentioned that they have previously done expeditions to this area, but they haven't to the specific site. They haven't encountered this fantastic coral. What we do know is in the shallower area, in the shallower shelf of that reef of Makira, there has been some exposure. There has been warming that's led to some bleaching, but not in the slightly deeper waters where we find this reef, this coral. So I think there's already been, this year there was the announcement from NOAA, the 4th global bleaching event. The earth is still warm, so maintaining our efforts around climate and ensuring that we don't add more carbon and addressing the fossil fuel challenge is incredibly important, because these reefs that are already vulnerable are even more exposed, and we need to ensure that there is protected areas to protect these reefs, that threats are being reduced. And so we know that, there are more reefs to be discovered in Solomon Islands and other places around the world. But if we don't get to them before, the impacts of climate are seen, then we will never know what's out there. So it's important to continue our efforts to protect these areas. There's this ambition to protect 30% of our oceans by 2030, and maintaining that ambition together with the climate ambition is incredibly critical at this point.
And Carol, as scientists get a better look at this reef, what do you think can be learned from it? What is important to look at?
The area that we're talking about, Makira, isn't densely populated. So I think really understanding, how do reef systems like this that are in a slightly deeper waters, how are they impacted by the changing water temperatures? What is the impact of highly populated reef systems, next to bigger cities or villages compared to less populated areas. Understanding the impact of water quality is really important. And I think maintaining the biodiversity, keeping those threats at bay for these reefs is going to be important. Working with coastal communities is going to be incredibly critical as we, reach a point where there will be even scarcer reefs that are actually healthy and well functioning. So working with people that actually live and survive off these reefs and have taken good care of these reefs over, centuries is going to be really important. So investing in coastal communities to protect these reefs will be important in the coming years as well, Sumi.
And Carol, just in the 30 seconds that we have, it's incredibly beautiful to look at. Will you be going to take a look at this reef as well?
I would love to, but we have wonderful colleagues from WWF who work in the Pacific. And I think my role in the global team is to ensure that we continue our efforts, that they get the resources that they need to do the conservation work that's out there with coastal communities, and maintaining our advocacy, for Paris to be implemented.
Yeah.
And the global stocktake is going to be critical, and maintaining the 30 by 30 ambition to protect 30% of our oceans.
Carol Phua, it's been great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us on BBC News.
Pleasure. Thank you.